Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. I'm pissed. I really am. I can't stand it. I can't watch this team play like this every single night. It's getting so damn infuriating. I can't operate. I don't know how to live my life when I see the Orange and the Black perform this pathetic every time they touch the ice. And it's the same issues. It's the same problem. Turnovers in the D zone, not knowing what to do with the puck, poor decision-making, handing it right over to the other team, not moving their feet, not establishing the forecheck, not being able to move through the neutral zone, so you have to dump the puck in, but when you dump the puck in, you're not getting to the loose pucks first, and you're not battling, and you're losing puck battles. You're getting beat to all the pucks. It's nonsense all the time, and this whole narrative that they're fighting back late, I don't give a damn. That means nothing to me. So Shayne Gostisbehere scores a power play goal at the end of the game, and that's supposed to get me excited when he got beat by Hagelin right in front of Brian Elliott for the second goal of the Capitals, and he got destroyed by Jensen, who blasted by Elliott, and Elliott sucked today. Quite frankly, he has had too much time, and I was afraid of that happening. I was afraid that if he was going to compete more, being an older guy, that he wasn't going to be able to hold up. And that's exactly what you're seeing out of him. But I understand why throwing him in between the pipes right now, because it's not as if Carter Hart is playing stellar either. He has been your hotter goaltender, and you got to rock that until it falls. Unfortunately, now you're in a spot where it looks like both goaltenders are playing under par. They're not playing up to their standards, I guess is the right way to say it. Because in golf, under par would be great. But they're not playing great. And that's an issue for me. So when Shayne Gostisbehere has all these problems, am I supposed to be super excited about a power play goal late? Or he's really good when you have an empty net. He's been blocking all kinds of shots. Jim Jackson's all thrilled about it on the broadcast, and then he ends up knocking a puck out of midair and doing it again. Come on. The fact that Shayne Gostisbehere and Nate Prosser are out there, once you start going to Nate Prosser, you should already know what type of scenario you are in. So look, I'll apply that same Shayne Gostisbehere conversation to Nolan Patrick. So Nolan Patrick scores a nice one-timer goal, didn't really get all of it, and it looked like Samsonov probably could have stopped it as it squeaked through his 5-0, but he scored a goal. Great. Whoop-de-damn-do. He was awful earlier in this game. Pathetic, really. Turning the puck over constantly, way too many times. And the Capitals actually took the lead because in the neutral zone, he tries to get cute, tries to get pretty. Pass doesn't work. Here comes the Capitals in transition. And before you know it, they score. It's crazy. Turnovers result in goals. It's not rocket science. When Alexander Ovechkin scored his power play goal, what happened? Oh, that's right. The Flyers' penalty kill couldn't exit the zone. They couldn't get the puck down the ice. Capitals keep it in. Ovi scores. Now, look, I don't love the call by the referee on Sanheim. That was a makeup call. He did not wrap his arms around him. He barely even touched him with this stick. That was way too weak, and I hated it. I really did. You got to get the puck out of the zone, though. Your special teams unit has been one of the biggest flaws for you all season long. You got to be stronger. Be stronger on your stick all around. Shayne Gostisbehere in front of the net, on the penalty kill, in the neutral zone. You got to be stronger on your stick. So with all this late, my point is to summarize that aspect of it with some of these players that I'm pointing out. I don't care that it was a one-goal game at the end because your goalie's pulled and there's a sense of urgency. How about you play with a sense of urgency for the first 54 minutes of the game and stop waiting for the last 6? Because if the team isn't the Buffalo Sabres, you're not going to be able to get the job done like that. By the way, this Capitals team's doing it without Tom Wilson, a gritty, tough player that only makes things worse. And I saw that Sean Couturier was getting banged up a bit. Claude Giroux was getting banged up a bit, and there was no fight back from some of the other players, and that's pissing some Flyers fans off. I understand that, and there is a little bit of me that sees that from a team camaraderie standpoint. Last year, we heard all the time, whether it was Kevin Hayes, Scott Lawton, Travis Konechny, the guys in the room, it was special. Last year, there was this vibe surrounding everybody that they were one. They were a team. They were brothers. They loved one another, and it showed on the ice. There's that picture of Konechny, Lawton, Kevin Hayes, all in the bench, yapping away, chirping, because that just summarized the way that they played last year. You don't see it as much this season at all, and sure, that does bother me because that shows me that, hey, they are not clicking internally the way that they did last year. The frustration shows that way while Ryan Reeves gets knocked down for the Vegas Golden Knights. And we know that Ryan Reeves is the fighter. He's the one that stands up for everybody else. And they had teammates stepping up for Ryan Reeves. When Sean Couturier and Claude Giroux are the ones that are getting hit to the ground, getting some cheap shots, you got to get in there. I'm not saying you have to drop the mitts. I'm not saying you got to bring this intense level of just Scott Stevens hits, but I do think there needs to be a little bit more of a pushback, a little bit more of a couple cross checks in a smart way, though. Not in a dumb way where you're going to get in the box and get a retaliation call, but enough to show your superstars, your captain, hey, we're here for you. So that does upset me a bit. Where the line is crossed is this team isn't tough enough. And I had someone tweet out at me something about toughness, and I responded with, that's so old school. And I clarified, or the person who tweeted at me clarified a bit, and he said toughness in terms of puck battles, which I said, okay, fair assessment. But when I see the toughness thing, the whole this team doesn't play tough enough, that's wrong. You know what this team does poorly? Turns the puck over, and they're not defensively sound. They're out of position. Could they have better forechecking, and could they bring maybe a little bit more shoulder checking involved when it comes to the forecheck? Absolutely. They need to get back to what they did last year, which was that. I guess it depends on how you view toughness, because some are stuck in the old ways. And guess what? When this organization went through that brutal stretch of not being successful in this recent years, why was that? Well, because they were stuck in this third line grinder. Hey, let's go play old school Flyers hockey. And that's why they've sucked. When they went with this new version of themselves, while we're frustrated now, it's a new identity. It's the younger players. It's the 2021 version of hockey. They're making sense in terms of how they have their roster forming. It's got holes and it's got flaws right now, but they're getting closer to 2021 hockey. They're just missing some pieces. When they fill those pieces, it's not about the toughness. It's about getting better decision-making out there. Moving the puck well. Puck-moving defensemen. It's not about the, Scott Stevens of the world. And that's where these old school Flyers heads are wrong. They fought the other night. What'd they do? They lost. They lost. It's not about that side of the game. They have issues. And guys like Nolan Patrick, not good enough. Oscar Lindblom, not good enough. I'm really disgusted with Aube-Kubel because Aube-Kubel fell asleep on the bench and the Capitals scored right after that. 19 seconds late to hop on his shift. Dude, what? What? And I said this during, if you don't know, after the games are over, I post a 1 to 2 minute clip on my social media on Twitter at Brodes81. Make sure you go toss me a follow. And in that 1 to 2 minute assessment, I'm freaking out about Aube-Kubel. You are a bottom six guy, a non-established guy. Not that it would matter if you are, because you got to make sure you're engaged and mentally prepared. But to be a dude who's fighting for his life and just making not even a name for himself. He's not even there yet where he's making a name for himself. He is earning his time by being a nobody and working hard and battling. And for you to fall asleep, like, who do you think you are to not be paying attention on the bench? That is bad. It really is. That's pathetic, and that irritates me. You are a nobody, Aube-Kubel. Let's be realistic. You are a no one in the NHL. How are you not the most intense player when it comes to preparing yourself for the next shift? If I'm on the bench and I'm one of the bottom six guys, I am so mentally ready for my next shift. I couldn't be more prepared. I'm probably too prepared. That's how you have to approach it. So for him to be all over the map, that irritates me. That's bad. So I get it. Some of these players aren't doing their right jobs, but in terms of like last year, because I'm trying to tie this together with how the roster is built. Last year, you had 4 lines. You could roll those 4 lines. This year, your players that you could roll last year, they're not performing at enough of a rate. So it's not really the philosophy that's flawed of having the 4 lines. It's roster construction, and you just don't have those right pieces. But I did see some irritating numbers when I looked back at the stat sheet and saw some time on ice. The fact that Scott Laughton is playing more minutes than Claude Giroux. And I look back at a couple games, and it's happening a little bit more lately. And I know that Claude Giroux is no longer your top guy anymore. But I'm sorry, he gives you more than what Scott Laughton can provide you at times. There's still a lot to be said about what he does do very well out there. He might not be where he was, but guess what? That's because where he was outstanding. It was the top. It was phenomenal. So he has a step back. His step back is still really, really good in this league. And for Scott Laughton to just be logging way more minutes than him, Kevin Hayes playing more minutes than him, I get Kevin Hayes playing around the same. I'm not begging for Claude Giroux to be giving you 20 minutes. Let's be clear here. But to see Scott Laughton and some of these other guys starting to extremely log more minutes in, it's like, yo, AV, look, I understand that Claude Giroux is getting up there. But I think it's a little bit of some disrespect as well. Unbelievable. This team pisses me off like no other. What happens when the Rangers are on the schedule? Oh, what's that? It's happening the next 2 games? Okay. So if they beat the Rangers, how do we feel? Because it shows me that, all right, they beat the Sabres. They beat them last game, and then they shut them out over that weekend. Prior to that, they beat the Rangers. And I was just not feeling confident about this team because anyone can beat the Rangers. The Rangers are not a good team. No one's losing to the Sabres. You can beat the Sabres. They're not a good team. So if we see this team compete on Monday, compete on Wednesday, and take down the Rangers, obviously that's the best case scenario. I want them to win rather than lose. But it's not going to tell me much because you are, quite frankly at this point, you are losing with ease. It's not really competitive no matter what happens late. You are getting beat pretty damn good against the Capitals, against the Bruins. They've lost 5 of 7 since returning from the COVID protocols. So, yeah, you're struggling against these top-tier opponents now, and you are, you're struggling, and you're slowly slipping yourself out of the playoffs. Slowly, it's trending in that direction. So you got to find a way to beat the Rangers. But my personal takeaways after that isn't going to be much. It's going to be, okay, so they did handle business. It's really a lose-lose for them. Because if they lose, we are going to roast you. We are going to destroy you even more than we already are. And if you win, you get no credit. But that's the hole that they've dug themselves into. That's what happens when you constantly play so poorly. That's what occurs when you score a goal and you actually do something good. I talked about how turnovers generate goals, right? Well, you saw that from the Flyers' perspective. JVR gets a puck right inside the slot and he rips it past Samsonov. So when you see the other team turning the puck over, well, you think it would also generate in their heads, maybe there's something to this turnover thing. Or maybe if we stop doing it, we'd be in a better position. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's that hard to figure out, yet they're constantly throwing the puck up the wall, trying in these small areas to move the puck when they probably should get it deep. It's crazy. Not entering the zone with confidence, not entering the zone with an odd man rush. And by the way, I don't know how I just randomly thought about this with Aube-Kubel, but not only did he have that poor mishap mentally on the bench, but he also had a wide open net where Samsonov wasn't even close to his side as he gets a biscuit, and he rips it totally off base, totally off the mark, and there goes the puck around the boards, around the wall, and you had a goal. You had a wide open net. I can't believe it. It's not cute anymore. The way that they fight hard afterwards, it's not cute. Now, where was I going before I got sidetracked about Aube-Kubel? I don't know. But I do know this. It's that time of the year again. Conference tournaments are tipping off. Bubble teams are making their final push for a bid while the top seeds are preparing for what they hope is a long run. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting new customers in the center of the action. Bet $4 on an underdog, win $256 if they win. It's that simple. That's bet $4 on an underdog in select college basketball games, and if they win, you collect $256. The bank is open. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code Brodes when you sign up to turn $4 into $256 if the underdog of your choosing pulls off the upset. That's code Brodes to turn $4 into $256 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, new customers only. Restrictions apply in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. I know what I was going to say, by the way. This team, the amount of goals that they allow as soon as they score is the worst thing I've ever seen. It really is almost impossible to do at the rate that they are doing it at. It's so hard. After you score a goal, and not even you personally, and I've said this so many times, but it's simple logic. It's so normal to hear these words. It's something you learn when you're 8, 9, 10 years old. Maybe not when you're a mite or an atom, but as you continue to move up, Bantams, squirts, then as you move on to triple A and you go on to junior. When there's a goal that happens, your team or the other team, that next shift is extremely important. You either continue to bang with that momentum and explode offensively and be the team that will continue to jump with that energy and create all this sort of great play for your team. You will generate that off that goal, off that shift, if you do it properly as soon as the puck is dropped at center ice. Or you stop the bleeding. Let's say you don't score. Let's say the other team scores, but you can get some sort of momentum back. Let's say you get the puck, you have a good outlet in the defensive zone, which then transitions to nice neutral zone play. One pass as you enter the blue line, you get a shot on net. Maybe it's not a good shot where it was a big-time save or it was a grade A scoring chance, but now you get an offensive zone draw. So you kill that momentum that the other team grabbed when they scored that goal. It's so important, and it's so valued. So for you to be the team that is scoring, and then every game at least twice after a Flyers goal, you see the opponent, the other team, get some sort of good rush. It's got to be better defensively from all 5 guys. All 5, really all 6. You got to include the goalie. And Brian Elliott was miserable in this one. The amount of rebounds, and you saw it happen early, and sometimes you see something happen early and you know that's how this game is going to play out. So when you saw that first period and you saw all these shots getting thrown around from these weird angles, and somehow Brian Elliott wasn't closing in on the puck, he wasn't covering the puck with his glove, it would hit his chest or hit his pad and it would bounce right back, or it would be kind of near his pad, he can't cover it, the puck goes into the corner, and here comes the Caps. They're still generating some sort of good looks, and they're moving the puck around from low to high, back to low, cycling. If I'm the Capitals and I see that early, guess what? As soon as I'm walking into the blue line, I'm peppering Brian Elliott. And that's what they did. Even that late first period opportunity, way too close for my liking, you could sense that Carter Hart was going to get caught in there at some point. And Keith Jones on the broadcast kind of liked the fact that this was how it worked for Carter Hart. Not that he enjoyed where the Flyers were, obviously, but for the circumstances with Carter Hart, he's having a tough time. He's trying really hard to find confidence. Instead of knowing beforehand you're going to start and thinking about it overnight and trying to prepare mentally and going through all these scenarios in your head that can maybe make you overthink, or it's the right thing to do, but you got to find that good part of it where you're not overthinking, but you're still, you're engaged. When I played and we would stay in a hotel the night before, let's say we went to, because in college hockey you would play Friday, Saturday night, you would travel on Sunday back home, or Saturday night back home, you'd be home for Sunday, but we sleep in a hotel Thursday night. Well, if I'm playing on Friday, if I was in the lineup, that night of sleep, I'm running through all these situations in my head. If there's a reverse, I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to move it to the winger that's sitting on the hash marks along the wall. They're going to chip it to the center. Here we go on a rush. I'm playing all these things in my head, but sometimes you can take it to the extreme, and then when it happens in the game, you're overthinking it and you're trying to do too much. My point is, and Keith Jones's point was, with Carter Hart, was, hey, you know what? You weren't all worried about it. You weren't all thinking about it. You thought Moose was going to be the guy. So here you go. You get thrown into it. Just go out there and play. Just go out there, let the puck hit you, let you make some stops. Unfortunately, it wasn't the smoothest for him. Dowd ended up getting that redirection, so if anyone's going to rip him apart for allowing that goal, it got redirected into his chest, fell through his 5-hole. I would say very bad puck luck there, but it also describes where Carter Hart is this season. It hasn't been smooth, and he's had some tough bounces, and he's also been in poor spots when it comes to his angles, and he's normally sharper than that. With that goal, I'm not going to crush him, and you get a power play goal, too, by Ovechkin. Ripped it short side. You don't love short side goals, but I'm not going to crucify Carter Hart here. I think that your starter didn't perform in this one. One gets deflected, and one's on the power play. Goalies are not playing good enough. Brian Elliott has been, but as you're seeing him get more time, it's now depleting a bit. It's deflating. But there's so many problems, man. And it starts with the defense. I know the problem is it's draining having this combo. It's like Eagles Carson Wentz. Dude, by week 8, I'm done. I'm done with this. It's the same thing. Howie Roseman, Doug Peterson, Carson Wentz, the injuries, the offensive line. Oh, I'm sick and tired of it. Well, watching this D-core and watching poor passes all the time, I've never seen a set of 6 make so many bad decisions when it comes to a simple pass. That's where their problem is. They get the puck in the defensive zone, and I'm not saying the wingers and the centers are always doing the best job. Sometimes they're flooding the zone too early. Sometimes they're not supporting enough where you need your support. Without your support, if the forward's not in the right position when you have the puck down by the goal line, it's not going to be easy. If they're up by the blue line and you got to make an awkward bounce pass off of the wall, you got to get lower, right? And look, there's so many times where it's that. There's so many times where it's on the defenseman who is getting beat by the forecheck and they're stick on puck. They're not moving it quick enough. They're nervous. They're rushing it. All sorts of problems. That's the issue. There's so many sorts of problems here. When you can't make, though, these simple first passes to allow your team to properly run a breakout, and that's resulting in these great players moving the puck around. Like when they turn it over, these turnovers are becoming so costly. And they're not just getting good looks. They're getting extremely powerful looks. And in the NHL, when Ovechkin gets that, they're going to score. Not even Ovechkin. When Jensen gets that, this guy can't score. Yet when he plays the Flyers the last couple of nights, he looks like Bobby Orr. I can't believe what I saw from Ghost on that play. And what I saw from that play on the second goal where Hagelin beats him with the puck battle, with the stick battle in front of the crease. So you're telling me because Ghost has some power play goals, that should then just wash out completely what he's doing in the defensive zone? That's more important to me. This power play needs help, and I think Ghost can help this power play. And he's not... With Ghost, he's doing better than I thought he would, but he's still not doing good enough. His flaws are still so crushing to this team. He's doing better offensively. He's become a better offensive player than I thought he would get back to. But it's not helping you out where you're having your biggest problem as a team. There's going to be a payoff with players like Ghost. So to demand him to be some shut-down D-zone guy, that's unfair because that's being unrealistic to who he is and what his playing style is. The way the league has changed, and I'm all about the league changing, going 4 lines and being able to roll guys and have young speed and that type of player, those type of players as a whole in your bottom 6. Well, with Ghost, this is part of the league. An offensive defenseman who can't really do much defensively in the D zone who's going to get beat. So you're going to have to know that there's a payoff. But right now, the payoff isn't strong enough for me with Ghost when I see an effort like this. Just not. All right, why don't we get to the Anytime Hotline? There's some phone calls here after the game. The Flyers' frustration, though, is settling in with this fan base, and you're seeing it constantly.
Going to use a dreaded word tonight to describe what's gone on lately with this team. It's a word you never want to associate with your team in whatever sport you follow, and that's embarrassing. Not just on the scoreboard, but I continue to harp on the lack of overall team physicality. Once again, you have 2 goals tonight where guys are camped in the blue paint right in front of the goaltender, and no resistance is offered. I saw Sean Couturier in the first period on a power play get elbowed to the teeth get his head smashed into the ice, and no resistance is offered. There is just no grit, no intensity, no physicality with this team. And I know the 74, 75 Broad Street bully days are over in this league, but you have to hit, you have to knock the opposition on its ass, and you have to be able to absorb checks, get to the net, and finish. And none of these things the Flyers do.
You're not wrong with some of the things you were saying. I'm obviously going to push back a bit on the whole physicality thing of it. I understand that there is a lack of, quote, toughness and all, but I do think, like you talk about, you gotta knock guys on their ass. See, that's where I think the line goes too far for me. I think you can get in on the forecheck more. When I watch these teams play the Flyers, they're not knocking guys on their ass constantly. Like, there were some elbows and all cheap shots, but if you're talking about pure, really good, big-time hits and all, like, the Flyers aren't just getting rocked left and right, and they're just getting abused physically by all these teams that they're playing. But what's happening is there is rubbing off the puck. There is rubbing off the glass. There's more of that where, like, for example, JVR. When JVR had that forecheck, and it was the check of the game, just a good, simple check, but it's not some, hey, you're knocking guys on their ass. And that's why I think it's different. You can get in on the forecheck like JVR, bang the body, make a nice play, get in there, rub your shoulder off, rub guys off the puck. I do think there needs to be a little bit more of that. I do wish that there was more of a response when your captains and your big guys go down. That area, I can agree with. I think where you lost me, because I was nodding my head throughout the call in agreement with in what you're saying. The team does need a little bit more grit to them. The knocking on the ass part. It's not about the knocking on the ass. It's about winning your puck battles. It's about, just being tougher on your stick and making sure that your intensity is out competing the other team's intensity. So, the whole old school hockey, it bothers me. That's something that infuriates me. That's something that allows the passion to get in on me. Because, and I'm not saying you specifically, Sean is a fantastic caller, big supporter of the show, and he's one of the best. But when it comes to, that side of it all, yeah, you know what? People might go back and say, well, the Blues were physical. You're right. And there's always going to be some outliers, but Ryan O'Reilly led them to a Stanley Cup. And everyone says, oh, Claude Giroux stinks. He'll never do that. Before Ryan O'Reilly led the Blues to the Stanley Cup, no one say Ryan O'Reilly's going to do that. He's that type of superstar player. My point of bringing that up is, there's outliers in a lot of things. Ryan O'Reilly was that outlier. The Blues playing a little bit more physical was that outlier. There's physicality in hockey still. The Flyers aren't at the top of the league here. But when it comes to the hockey and the league in general with hockey, it's just not played that way anymore, and that's okay. And people have a tough way of pulling it full circle here. So can they be more physical? Yes. Do people want them to be way more physical than they need to be because they think that's how hockey is played now? Yes. Yes. They think it's still the old school way, and they need that. You don't need that. I've seen plenty of young, skillful lines, 4 lines, just rolling, going to win Stanley Cups with a little bit of nice chippiness, a little bit of some swagger to them, but not to this extreme that people think this team is missing. This team is missing some of it. People think that's the number one thing. I think bad defensemen is 1. Bad bottom 6 forwards is 2. Bad decision-making, which goes hand in hand there. All of that, which is significantly more important. If you fix that, if you fixed the decor, if you fixed the bottom 6 forwards with upgraded versions of what they are now, not bringing in a tough guy. You had a tough guy. His name was Chris Stewart. You know what happened to him? His ass was off the team within a couple months of the season because he was irrelevant to what you brought. It was irrelevant to what you need in today's game. You don't need them. So when you look at the roster and the way that's built, if you fix those issues with just better versions of themselves that isn't necessarily tough physical guys, you're not even having this conversation. I don't know. I'm so fascinated with the reaction of hockey and the lack of toughness, if you will.
Well, that was a complete rerun from Thursday night. The Flyers completely shit the bed early. but they show fight at the end. But you know what? I don't care. I don't care because here's the thing. If you lose by 1 goal in regulation or lose by 5 goals in regulation, you still don't get any points out of it, so I don't care. I really thought this season was going to be different. I thought that this Flyers team was on the right trajectory. I thought they had a way to get some sustained success for the first time in a very long time. But no, it just appears like it's going to be another year where they have a good year followed by a poor season. There's a reason why in this city the Flyers are by far the 4th most popular team, and it's bullshit like this. They can't get any success whatsoever, and whenever they give you hope, they just rip it right out of you. And and here's the thing, for this season at least, one surefire way to beat the Flyers, just allow more shots than them. Just allow them to outshoot you, and you'll win every time. Get more shots. Allow the Flyers to have more shots than you, and you'll beat them 100% all the time.
I throw a little sarcasm in there. With the excitement last year, the reason why they're 4th is because of just the nature of the sport and how big the city is and how hockey, you're in your own little community with hockey. But it does suck because last year with the playoff run, while it didn't end in this beautiful way and they forced Game 7, but they were down 3-0, but they made it to the second round of the playoffs, but it was in a bubble and they became a first seed with the weird round robin play. But people were excited for the team. And the way that they started out this season, they were getting some wins. And okay, you needed that. You needed to make sure you established something positive to allow that momentum to shift with the city. I'm talking more with just the way people view the Flyers. But now that it's this way, it's so easy to run right off the train tracks if you're one of those casual fans. And it does suck because when the team gets behind the Flyers like they did last postseason run, whether they're frauds, diehards, just hopping on the bandwagon, I don't care. I accept those fans. I know that's where hockey is. People don't love hockey the way they do football and basketball. I acknowledge that. So if bandwagons want to come on and enjoy the journey and feel the shake, I'm all here for it. My doors will be open. I want you to join. And I want those fans to be there. And now that this team is not fun and they're a brutal watch and they're disturbing, not sexy, it's starting to get to the point where this fan base is going to hop off real quick, if they haven't already, because there is this pretty much group of people that already jumped off that bandwagon, and I necessarily don't blame them, because if I was a casual fan, for example, I'm a casual soccer fan, and I like Everton in the Premier League. If Everton's not playing good, I'm not sitting there on my Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, and watching. If they're playing hot football, if you will, I'm loving it. But when it's not, I'm easy to jump, I'm not feeling the Everton. I don't want to watch them lose 3-0 to Liverpool. So I get that mindset from a fan that's kind of just like, I like the Flyers, but I'm not going to sit there and watch them lose 5-1 and then fight back with 2 minutes left when there's an extra attacker. That's not going to cut it for me. And quite frankly, it shouldn't. And you mentioned if they don't make the playoffs this year, considering what happened last year and all, extremely disappointing. And it would raise real questions on where they are. Obviously, they were going to keep Alain Vigneault, keep Chuck Fletcher. They're not going to just rip apart everybody and start fresh by any means, because big picture, they're still on this timeline of good prospects, and they have some good players and all. So it's not like it's the most disappointing. No, it's disappointing, but it's still, like, if you took steps back and looked at the timeline on where they are with prospects and younger players and with some of this core, it's still in this uphill momentum, even though it's a step back from last year. Like I said, it's more like a 10-15 step back. If that makes sense, it makes sense in my brain. That's what matters right now. They're not going to make those big moves of getting rid of all these guys, but it just starts raising this question. And when I say all these guys, I'm talking about the GM and the head coach. Where are they? Who are they? And what would next season tell you? Because if it's 2 bad seasons in a row, now it's dangerous. But if they bounce back after that year, is that starting that sustained success? Or is it going to be that good season, bad season thing? I don't know. But I do know that this sucks. That's what I do know. What doesn't suck is Orbit Energy and Power. With over 20 years of experience in the solar industry, they are home to your solar experts. Their solar program eliminates your electric bill completely by offering flexible financing solutions such as $0 down. Make sure you check out their information down below. They also provide water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. So, phone number, website down below in the description. Thank you guys all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.